Hello, this is Dustin from BB3D, and today we're going to do a tutorial on importing to BB3D from Blender with multiple materials. This is a tutorial request we got. I'll probably be doing a few more tutorials now that I'm reset up where I'm living. Little thing first, right now the website is down. So if you are looking to interact with us, you better do it on Facebook. That's facebook.com/BattleBox3D. Today we're working with a new version of BattleBox. That's version 5.97.1. If you want to download that, just contact us on Facebook. We'll send you the download link from there. Today we're going to start off in Blender. And we're going to be using Blender version 2.71. This is the most current version that's out right now. And we are going to be using a few add-ons today. There's two add-ons that I always recommend making sure that you have turned on. We turn those on by going to File, User Preferences, select the add-on tab. First one is going to be Materials Utilities. And you find that by clicking in the search bar and just typing in material. You'll see it right there. We'll make sure that that is checked on. And I also like to use F2 as a great add-on. We may not be using it today, but it's a great add-on to have switched on there nonetheless. So I'll just hit Save User Settings. And this is my default scene. So with BattleBox, there's a couple things that we want to keep in mind. First off, let's just go ahead and delete the camera and light. Again, this is assuming you know a little bit about Blender, kind of a beginner to intermediate level. I'm just going to select the box, move it up above the ground. We'll cover more about origin points later. So what we need to do is we need to create a material. Now, a material is how 3D applications interact with light, and textures are loaded into those. So, for instance, I have, let's see, my two textures I'm going to be using today. That is going to be a black and white, that'll be texture A, and a color version of it, which will be texture B. I need to load both of these in. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and pop open Blender, and I'm going to divide this cube into two. I'm going to select half the faces. This will be side A, most likely. So I'm just going to go ahead and assign the material. I go over to the Properties panel. I'm going to rename this to Material A. Alright. I'm then going to go over to my Texture tab. I'm going to call this Texture A. So I have Material A and Texture A. And go down to the type, set it to Image or Movie. I'm going to set the mapping coordinates from generated to UV. Be using those later. I'm going to go to Open. I'm going to go to where my textures are saved. I'm going to load up Texture A. As you can see, it's black and white. So if I go down to my viewport shading, set it to Texture, you'll notice it's not showing up yet. I'm just going to hit Q one more time and assign my material. You'll notice that it assigns everything across the entire object. I don't want that right now. Now, this is good for what it is, but right now, this is a problem. BattleBox requires one material per object and one texture per material. So what I need to do is, if I want this to be split down the middle, I actually need to take this section here and break it off. I'm going to do that by making sure all my faces are selected and hitting P and choosing selection. So from here, I'm going to go in and hit N. I'm just going to rename this to Object 1. This will all make sense. Once we're done, I can kind of explain how this works. Object A, there we go. There we go, that's what I want to call I'm going to select this other object, and I'm going to name it Object B. So I have Object A, Object B. I'm going to go in. I'm going to select the material. I'm going to delete this material on this object, and we'll select a new material. We'll call this Material B. I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a new texture. That is Texture B. Same thing. Go and change its type from clouds to image or movie. I'll set the mapping coordinates to generated. I'm sorry, from generated to UV. And I'm going to load up my other texture. This will be Texture B. All right. Now, no change so far, but if I go in, hit Q, again, this is with my Object B selected, I can pick Material B, and voila, it works. Now, what we have is, if we look at our outliner, this is the view of all the objects in Blender. We're going to have our object, our material, and our texture. Sometimes, just if I want to be really OCD about it, I'll go and rename the mesh objects themselves. But, you know, Object A has Material A, which has Texture A, and Object B has Material B and Texture B. This is necessary for importing into Blender, so even if you have a rather complex mesh, if you're going to use different textures on different parts of it, you need to break those down into different materials on different objects. So even though I'm going to be importing this as one object into BattleBox, I do need to break it down into different objects in Blender. So I'm going to go ahead and double tap A to select everything. We're going to do the export process now. And I'm going to go and look at my export settings. So I'm going to go File, Export, Collada. My export settings are to selection only. This is important if you're working with a lot of objects in your scene and you only want to export a few. I keep my army for my wargaming all in one file and then just export the pieces that I need. The other thing that we're going to do is under texture options, we're going to include material textures. We've loaded these up into our material slots. This will copy them to the location that we're going to use. So we're going to make sure the copy is checked on too. Other than that, with Blender straight out of the box, you should be able to make it work. On Windows 8 machines, the models folder is under users, your username, app data, local, big unheard of, / BattleBox / models. We'll go over in a second how other ways to find that, but we'll just do this export process really quickly. And I'm going to name this my object. All right. Export the Collada file. We will look in my models folder, which is right here. And voila, there it is. So let's try and open this up in BattleBox really quick just to test it and make sure it's working. Here's my BattleBox 3D icon. That'll be important in a moment. And we'll hit play. All right, we'll go to single player. We'll open up the library by pressing tab. There's my object, and there is my texture. Both textures, both materials working in one object. Pretty snazzy. All right, as a last little wrap-up item, if you're having trouble finding the models folder, the best way to find it is to right-click on your icon for BattleBox 3D, go to Open File Location. This should take you to the directory itself, and oh geez, they moved it on me now too. All right. Well, I'll just tell you. On a Windows 7 machine, maybe I can go to my. There we go. So in Windows 8, go to your Start menu, right-click on the BattleBox 3D option, and Open File Location. On Windows 8, what you're going to need to do, and you're going to have to visualize this, is go down to your Start menu, press All Programs, look for the BattleBox 3D folder, and you should see the Model Library folder in there. So that's how to get stuff into BattleBox from Blender with multiple materials. If you do have any questions, don't forget to comment on the video, like, subscribe, check us out on Facebook. All your support really helps, just even hearing from people that they're using it and what they're using it for. I think that's everything. Happy gaming, whatever you're doing, and you have a great day.